Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the third annual Women's in Entertainment panel. Today's event is sponsored by the FTC Business Club. I am Leah Chambers, the president of the Business Club. Today's panelists come from a variety of industry of artistic director, graphic design, and photography. So right now we're gonna have them introduce themselves, say their names and their job description.
So my name is Madison. I'm a graduate from here. I work at Fossil Industries. I'm a graphic designer. I've been graphic designing for 3, 4 years now. I used to do freelance for about 4 years, and then I've been working in the industry for about, yeah, four as well.
My name's Nicole, and I'm a freelance photographer, videographer, and filmmaker. I also work at Five Towns College as the equipment room manager, but I've been doing it for a very long time.
I am Karen Love, and I'm artistic director of Emoji Dance Company and Usama Dance Company. And I'm also a public school teacher for high school for the past 22 years.
So the first question is, why did you choose the career path you are in right now? Anyone can start this question.
Um, I'm not a big computer person, but I'm not really a person. Like, I'd rather just be by myself, do my thing, and then let that be it, and just get my work out of the way and not have a lot of interaction. So that, and then I've always been in love with art. That's just been my thing. Um, it's just my way of being creative. I try to keep myself creative every day, and yeah.
For me, ever since I was little, I always had a camera in my hand. So that's pretty much. So I went to college for photography, and then from there I went to filmmaking. So I always had a camera, as long as I can remember.
I didn't start out dancing. I started with gymnastics, and from gymnastics, you naturally would have to take dance classes. So I transitioned into dance and fell in love with it and decided that is something that I wanted to do. When I was in high school, I wanted to dance, but my mother wasn't, 100% behind that. So then I was like, oh, I'll go to cosmetology school. And then that changed, and then I decided to continue with dance and went to college for dance. So I didn't start out as a dancer.
So, what keeps you motivated to continue to work in your field?
I work with a lot of young people. I love young people. I work with high school students. I work with elementary students. I have a youth company. So they really do keep you on your toes and they keep you inspired to not stay stuck where you are. They challenge you, and you can either, meet the challenge and work with them or sort of get left behind. So any of the young people that I work with are really my inspiration.
Pretty much the same for me. So like my photography friends that I work with, it keeps me motivated to keep going and to do more events and get more content on Instagram and all that stuff. But pretty much the people I work with.
I would say that for me personally, without life, I mean, without art, there is no life. For like, it would just be boring. You got to keep yourself active. You got to be creative with what you do, and you got to just pursue that. If you don't have art, you don't have anything.
That's true.
So, being in a male dominant field, what advice would you give female entering in your field?
To keep proving them wrong. So for filmmakers, it's mostly like when you're on set, the males think that they could pick up heavy stuff, like you can't do it. So I say prove them wrong. Say there's a camera, pick up that camera before they have a chance, and just that's all I do.
For one, I have to say, you cannot let these men, no offense to the men in the crowd, but like, you can't let these men really like have the up on you. You can't. Because if it's one thing I've learned, I've trained male, I guess, employees, and it's crazy that I've been working there way longer than them, and then boom, I train them, and then they're getting paid more than me. They're getting raises before I get that, and it's kind of like, well, I trained them, so it's kind of like, why am I not getting that in return? So when it comes down to that, it's like, okay, forget about the money wage. You gotta show them what you can do and make sure that you do it good. Because one thing a man, no offense, but like one thing that I think a lot more women can say that they have over men is that we could be more productive. We can do, what is it called? Multitasking. There we go. And it's like, you just got to keep doing that. You just got to show them that, look, you do that, but look how much I could do in this short period of time, and look how much I could fix and finish, and that's that. So, I don't know. I feel like when it comes down to it, it's just more of it being, you can't let that affect you. You can't say, oh, well, I'm a female and I'm gonna have this problem or that problem or whatever. You just gotta go forward with it and just say, hey, like this is exactly what I can do, and I'm gonna finish it, I'm gonna do it, and that's my level of just being me, I guess.
In the dance world, it's a little bit different. It can be challenging because there's still people in the world that think men don't dance, that that's not for them. But I didn't really start to notice challenges and differences until I got a little bit older, till I was in college and out of college, and realizing I did have a lot of female teachers and choreographers, but there were a lot of men in higher positions. The women weren't always the directors of the programs. It was usually a man. It's like, what is going on? So it's a little bit different. It's still a challenge. And again, I didn't notice it till later on in life. I'm noticing it now as well, because there are a lot of men who are directors of companies, who are artistic directors, who are in charge of programming, in charge of funding, a lot of grants. And it's like, where did these men come from? And it's like, come on. But it should be an even, it's a challenge because it should be an even playing ground, and sometimes it's not. And you have to, as you guys said, just keep doing what you do and don't let that stop you. And just because, if you're going for a grant or you're going for an audition or whatever it is, don't think because you're a female that you can't do the same or you can't, surpass that. And make it happen. And you also have to deal with, because some people still are in the mentality, oh, well, a lot of men don't dance, they don't perform, and so they may say, oh, I'm not going to give you this job. I'm going to give it, oh, well, we have two guys, we're just going to take the guys. They can have two left feet and they get the job, and it's not right. And you can see it. Sometimes you don't see it. Like I said, I didn't always see it when I was younger, but as I got older, I'm like, so what? You're a guy. That doesn't mean I still can't do the job. I can't choreograph. I can't teach. I can't do the work. So sometimes, they would get over. Like, you have an ounce of talent, but you're going to get the job because you're a man. And they want to embrace the male population and then sort of let the females, go aside. So it still is a challenge. I notice things, I recognize things, I say things when things need to be said. But there still is that boundary of, well, there's a job and there's 4 people, there's 2 girls, there's 2 guys. Well, let's just take the guys, because we want to show everybody that guys can dance. And that's okay. And maybe that was okay before, but it's like everyone should still have the same opportunities.
So, do you have any female role models in your industry, and why? And who are they?
For mine, I have photography female role models. I have Vivian Meyer and Nan Golding. Nan Golding really showed off like the gay population and all that stuff. So it was really it was interesting to see, and like her perspective on life and all that stuff.
Well, to be honest, I wasn't very big into computers until I got here to Five Towns. I wasn't really interested in graphic design. That was never my thing. I'm more of a painter. I like to paint. I like to do traditional art. That was really my main focus. And then I don't really think I ever looked up any female graphic designers. Like, never. I want to say when I had first came here, in our program, we had, 4 females? And that was it, only 4 girls. Everybody else was just straight boys. And it's kind of like, we were also the first program there. So it was very new, it was very different. And I think now everything's changing. Like, that program itself is very, very different from when I was here. But yeah, I don't think I really have any female graphic designers offhand.
Um, there's a lot, and those would, of course, be my teachers. My teachers, that I sort of clung, sort of attached to. One was the former director of my college, Montclair State University, and she was there, from the time that I came. She was there, I think, maybe 30 some years, and I became really attached to her. I could always go to her, and she was the department chair of the dance program, but she wasn't the department head. That was always a male. And anytime you would go to her and she would say, okay, let me check with so and so, let me check with so and so. She wasn't the top of the chain, but she would always listen to you and, help you as much as you can. But again, she always had to answer to someone else, and it was a man who wasn't a dancer. I think he was a drama person, but again, always having to answer to that male figure, and she was just as qualified. And when those positions came up, when that person left, she wasn't hired. Another man was hired, to be that department chair, but she fought the battle and she was there. So that is one of my biggest supporters, one of my biggest role models that I still go to today. Like, Lori, what should I do? And she just gives the greatest advice, and she just continues to recognize what females are doing. And she's probably the first woman that said, you can do this. She encouraged me to start my company, and you're an African American female, you can do this. And there wasn't, that much to see at that time. So she was always a really great supporter.
So, in order to reach equality, do you think drawing attention to the fact that we are women in our industry is a positive or a negative thing, and why? Yes, this is a hard question. In order to reach equality, do you think drawing attention to the fact that we are women in our industry is a positive or negative, and why?
I'm just going to say, I think there's a time and a place. I think there's a time when you need to stand up and say what you need to say and make the point known. And sometimes you don't even realize it till people point those things out to you. And one of the things for me, my company is celebrating our 30th anniversary this year of the company, and a lot of people have just been pointing out, oh, you're one of the only female artistic directors. You're only African American female. Like, all these things they keep pointing out, and you don't recognize that you're doing those things because you're just in it. So sometimes people have to make those things known to you. So I'm the type of person, if I see where I can say something or make something known, I'll do it. Not that I will ignore other things, but sometimes I feel you have to choose your battles, and you don't want it to make it seem like, oh, woe is me, the female, and everyone has to have sympathy on you, and you have to keep bringing it up. Like, you should just recognize me as a human being. That's what you should recognize me as first, if that makes sense.
I agree with her. I agree. I don't know how to answer that.
Sure? You sure you don't want to add to it?
I think what you said, spot on. And I feel like you can't make too much noise with it. Because I feel like if you're really going forward to it, who cares about what other people think? You know what I mean? If you have that goal, you just got to go for that goal. You can't let that outside noise get in, and you can't be that loud about what you do. Because if you're being too loud, then clearly you're not who you really are. Like, you know how they say, oh, gangsters move in silence? Yeah. No. Well, true, but like, no. You can't be so loud and be like, oh, well, move in silence, da da da. No, like, you could do that, but you really got to be quiet with it. You just really got to go forward to it, see that goal, and go head first.
And sometimes it can distract from your work, because then they're just going to keep pointing out, oh, she's a female, she's a female, she's a female. What about my work? Let's look at the work that I'm doing and stop highlighting that I'm a female. Yes, that's great, but that's not just who I am. You need to look at my work and not just not forget that I'm a female, but recognize the work that I'm doing and not make that make that the number one thing.
Exactly. Let your work speak for itself. That's it. That's really what it comes down to. Let your work speak for itself. Let your work really, like, if you're passionate about something, let that be like what you show in everything that you do. Like, I don't know, for me being an artist, people look at me, they're like, oh, yeah, I could tell that. I could see that. So it's like you gotta carry yourself like how you would want your work to be noticed. And yeah.
Nicole, do you have anything to add? Okay, so my last question is, where do you see yourself professionally in 5 to 10 years from now?
Well, for one, I want to open up my own company. I want to do clothes. That was really something I've been interested in for a long time. But not only that, but I'm not trying to be in the field for long either. Like, I want to work. Look, I work right now. I have a full-time job. Then on the side, I also do part-time at my old job, which I should have quit, but they didn't want me to quit. So I'm still there. So that's like, I want to say every week I put in about 58 hours altogether at both jobs. Well, not both, but like combined. And where was I going with that? Yeah, so yeah. Right now I'm working these hours because by the time I'm 23 right now, but by the time I'm 30, I'm like, okay, I think I want to farm. Like, I think I want to do strictly the clothes and then freelance, but I don't want to be working in the field. I want to have my own company. And like for me, I'm not big into computers, honestly. I just kind of did it because to make it in the art field, you can't really make money off your traditional art. Nobody's really going for that right now. You're not seeing people buying paintings or anything like that anymore. People are buying digitals. They're buying things that they could put on their wall or something that they could put on their bag. And I'm like, okay, I gotta sacrifice my love for the money in a way. And it's kind of like you gotta go where the focus is right now. And you could still keep like your hobby to the side, you know, still do your hobby. But I feel like in 10 years, 5 years, I'm not trying to be working for other people. I want to own my company and I want other people to do my work pretty much while I farm.
For me, I have my own photography company right now. Hopefully, it'll be bloomed by then, and that'll be the only thing that I'm doing on top of hopefully being on a lot of movies. I don't know, owning my own production company, but definitely shooting a lot of work and all that stuff.
I would like to be retired. Yes, retired. I got about 6 more years to make that, 30 mark. Yeah, I'm 51. I'm 51. So when she said 30, I said, oh, okay. So anyway, yeah, so I would like to be retired from my, full-time job, which is teaching high school, teach dance at high school. K through 12, my after school programs. I would like to let that go. Got to work for that pension. So soon as those years are over, I would like to say goodbye, to the public education and still continue with my company and the studio. But by then, I would like to have purchased a building because right now we rent our space for the studio. And, that's not the move. Renting is not the move. You can't do anything unless you own, right? There's tenants upstairs, they complain about music, and you wouldn't have those issues if you have your own building. So that would be ultimate, goal to purchase a building, and then I can have everything that I, desire in that building. I wouldn't have to worry about lesson plans and everything else because I would just be in that building creating and doing work.
Okay, so right now we're gonna open it up to the audience. If any audience members have any questions, there's a mic stand over here that you guys can come stand up and come ask a question. Do not be scared to ask questions. No one is going to bite you.
No questions?
This is a nice panel. No one has any questions.
Testing, cool. Okay, so my question is to Karen. So I'm a competitive dancer for 12 years, yeah, and I'm upcoming choreographer. I've been on like shoots for like visuals, videos. I've been around like the tri-state area doing stuff like that. So being like as an upcoming choreographer, like what would you say, like how did you find your style and how did you start like choreography? Like what made you?
It's a little bit different now. When I first started, we had a lot of choreography showcases. So you could always present your work and you, whatever festival that was happening, you name it, we did it. Yup, I'm doing it whether you got paid or not. You know, we were doing it. Now there's not that many opportunities because again, it takes space and you have to have the space in the theater, you know, to have the shows. So I would just say as much as you can on your own, continue to create. You know, we have all this technology of recording and putting your work out there. I didn't have all that. So I'm like, what? So just keep, you know, creating as much as you can. And anything that you see, any showcases, you know, try and get your work in as many things as you can. Continue to talk to your teachers to find out what they do, you know, what programs they recommend, and just continue to create. And don't, you know, make your own opportunities. When I started my company when I was a senior year, it's my senior year at college, and we had the space and, well, we're gonna do a show, you know, and we just did it. You know, we had not an ounce of money, right? But we had space, so we had that opportunity. So as much as you can create and, you know, have a show, looks like this is a space, you can have a little show here, you know, do whatever you can and just continue to create. Don't always wait for those opportunities to come. You know, self-produce if you can. You know, not everybody wear your own costumes. You know, do your own thing, but just continue to create as much as you can, and those opportunities will come about, and you can create your own opportunities.
Thank you.
Good luck. Yeah.
You gave me that advice.
Any other questions in the audience? No? Yes?
I have a question for Nicole Monteleone. So what's the biggest challenge you face being the equipment room manager and working for the school, apart from me walking in all the time?
Definitely you.
Apart from that.
Not really anything, just dealing with all the orders and all that stuff. And my workers are pains in the butt, but it's okay.
That's all.
So if that's done for the audience, yes.
A career? Honestly, I'm really big into animals. I probably would have been a. Don't laugh. I have a little zoo at my house. I have ducks. I have chickens. Yes, I have.
She's telling the truth. She's telling the truth.
I love animals. So my parents are from Trinidad, and they used to be farmers out there. So growing up, we always had animals. No matter what, we always had that. So it's kind of instilled in me to just pretty much farm. But I think that would have been my route. I would have wanted to be a vet, work with the animals, and yeah.
Nicole?
I would. So when I went to college for photography, I would definitely create more shoots and all that stuff. So right now I create like different shoots that I use models for and all that stuff. Like I did a fruit photo shoot recently. So I would just be more creative with all this, like all my resources and everything, I think.
Miss Love?
You know, I'm trying to think, what would I have done? What I've done, like I said, at high school, I would, you know, was very much into cosmetology. I was doing everybody's hair and makeup for the shows and all of that. I don't know. I think, you know, once you get out of college, like I was ready to get, you know, out that senior year. I was like, I'm done. I can't wait to get out. And then you think, you know, before you go to grad school, you think about, oh, I should have did this, I should have that, you know, gotten more from maybe my teachers and like, oh, I should have paid more attention and that, or whatever it is. So maybe being more present, in undergrad, because once you get to your junior, senior year, my foot was like out the door, like I'm ready to, do some things. So maybe just being a little bit more present in undergrad. But there's nothing else I can think of that I would have wanted to do outside of dance and yoga. What I do now, I don't see any other career path.
Any other questions?
Hello, hi. So being in the artistic field, how do you stay dedicated and develop new ideas that gander attention towards your craft?
Honestly, be you. I've known you for a little bit, and I gotta say, like, the way you dress, the way you carry yourself, you're basically branding yourself already. That's how you're gonna brand yourself. And I feel like that's something that is just gonna set you apart from everybody. Like, when I see anybody colorful in the hallway, I'm like, that's CJ. Like, But yeah, I feel like you just gotta brand yourself with everything that you do. The way you talk, the way you dress, the way you speak to everybody, that right there is just good.
I'm gonna say the young people. I'm gonna say it again, right? Just surrounding, yourself, and just for me, being around so many young people. What's going on? What are you doing? What are you up to? What's the latest dance? What's the, all the vocabulary that keeps changing? I'm like, what? What do you say now? Just trying to stay as current as possible, still teaching my old school, values and things like that, but letting them understand a lot of the things that they're doing are not new, that, things go in cycles and they repeat themselves time and time again. But just staying youthful and not being afraid of the young people, but trying to listen to what's going on, and take what you can, but still give them the traditional old school values, because those things they're not going to change.
Yeah. I know for me to stay creative, I go on Instagram and I like see other photographers and other like filmmakers what they're doing, and I put my own twist on it, and then that's how I create photo shoots and all that stuff.
And then going off what she was saying too, like, don't be afraid to be open-minded. You know what I mean? Keep your eyes open to what is trending. Make sure you see what that is, and then put your own twist into it. Like, let's say, I don't know, to be honest, I was gonna say a little metaphor, but I don't have it. But anyways, like, if you see something trending, take it and do a little spin-off. And that's how you're gonna get, a lot of connections. People are gonna be like, oh, well, they took that, then they created it and made it theirs. And that right there is just gonna set you apart from everybody.
And performances, I left that out. And try to, I know this is the age of everything online, but trying to attend performances and showings and museums and going to things where you actually see things in person, as opposed to everyone just staying on their phone and looking at 1,001 videos, and then you don't go to the dance concert, or you don't go to, the person singing. So trying to attend as many live things as possible. Like I try to, students are performing, this is happening, and I try to get to everything and see what other people are doing, because that inspires you, and you're also supporting the artist. Even though I know everything is on her phone, I'm like, not the phone. Go to the theater and see the live performance.
One last thing. But like, surround yourself with people who see the same vision as you. That's another thing. Because if you're gonna be hanging out with people and they don't have that same goal or they don't have that same mindset, they're gonna hold you back. You could say one little idea, but they're not gonna get that. But if you're speaking to other people who have like a likewise vision, they'll add to it and make it better. And then you guys could kind of like put your brains together, and then something big will just, come about.
Thank you.
So as a young person trying to just like find something to do, I guess, how do I know? I mean, I'm doing so many things, but when something else comes up, I just drop one and go to the other, So how do I know when like I've found, the thing that I love to do? Like, have you guys found it? I guess you have, right? But how do I know?
You have a creative mind, first of all. Everybody who's creative, they're like that. Believe me, I'm like that. And it's kind of like, okay, I know I have to do something. I'll start it, and I'm like, oh, well, I could do this. Drop that up, whatever I was doing before, and start something new. But I feel like when it comes down to a career path, are you talking about career?
Yeah.
What do you do here, if you don't mind me asking?
At the moment, I'm doing business and audio, but I was thinking of switching. So
So I feel like for me personally, I think when you know something is for you, it's like, okay, that's something that I see myself getting happy about. Like, okay, I could wake up in the morning and the first thing in my mind is, okay, well, how do I do this? Like, how do I be creative? Or what is my new project for the day? And that's something that I'm like, okay, that's how I know I'm passionate about that. And that's something that I'm gonna go forward in. So I think when you find yourself waking up and you're like, okay, well, I'm ready to do this or I'm ready to do that. That right there is going to be your little wake up call. Like, okay, that's my calling.
I agree with her, but I was the same way. I did like a million things, not figuring out what I wanted until I picked up the camera. I was like, okay, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. So it just, you have to find that one thing that just like gives you a shock, like turn on.
I like that, the shock. What always tell my students, what's for you is for you. It's not going to be for anybody else. And when you find, not when you find that whatever it is, that passion, that down in that gut, you're not going to want to do anything else. So right now you're doing a 21 million things because that hasn't come from inside to say, this is what I want to do. So once you get that feeling, you're going to start turning down all those other things because you really want to focus on whatever that is. I'm not a believer, yes, we can all do 21 million things, but you can't do 21 million things well, right? You're going to, something's going to suffer, right? And so when you find whatever that is, for me, it was choreography. So like last night, I'm choreographing because we have rehearsal tonight. So that's everything else doesn't matter. I couldn't check emails. I couldn't do what I needed to do because I needed to do my work. So whatever, when you find that, you're gonna feel it. It's gonna be in that gut, and you're going to stick to it. And you're not. Everything else is gonna go to the wayside, and that's what you do. I feel, when we're younger, we try and we do everything that we can do until that gut feeling comes, and you won't want to do anything else. You will make the priority to do whatever it is that you're being called to do.
I stay hopeful. Thank you.
You can do it.
Is there any more questions for the audience? So if that is all, we would like to thank each and all of our panelists for coming down today and sharing their experiences and expertise. Thank you guys all for coming to watch us. We're going to have some sweets in the back and some water so you guys can network with a few of the panelists. So yes, thank you.